Hello and welcome back to the plot. I'd really like to show you around the Polytunnel today, which we've had for around 2 years. The Polytunnel has added a whole new dimension to growing, as we've been able to start seedlings earlier and enjoy those heat-loving plants like aubergines and chilies. So welcome to the Polytunnel, and I can't wait to show you around. So as you come into the Polytunnel, the first thing that we have on my left are my padron peppers. In previous years, I've had so many of these in pots, and then last year I did them straight into the ground and they weren't as happy. So this year they're back in pots again. A lot of flowers on them, to be fair, but just no fruit on these yet, but hopefully that will come with time. I've noticed as well that the leaves are a little bit yellowing almost. They've kind of got like a yellowish hint to them. I'm not sure if that's because I'm not feeding them as often as I should be, or I'm not sure if it's too hot in here, because it does get really warm. It can get up to 35 degrees in here sometimes. And next to them I've got my Californian bell peppers. I have had one off here and there's a lot of fruit on these, but they seem to all end up getting blossom end rot. I'm not too sure why or how to stop this. And just below my padron peppers, I have 2 other chilies as well. So this one's a jalapeno. This looks really healthy, the leaves look really great, but I just don't have any fruit on here yet. And next to that is, I think it's a belladonna, and I have a lot of fruit on here, and these go bright red when they're done. So quite a good size really. And these are wrapped in lamb's wool because, well, it keeps the couch grass down, which you can see is prolific, and also it keeps them a little bit warmer, and also apparently slugs don't like crawling on it. So I noticed that when I was getting the first fruits off this, they were being eaten by slugs, so I put this down to try and prevent that, and it's working so far. So far so good with that. Next here is just, I've got my potting table. This is where I start all my seeds off. And I've got these pots. These were from Primark actually for £1, and they've just been really great in collecting all my little bits and bobs that I need to have in the Polytunnel. But I am thinking that potentially next year, to increase space in here and use it a little bit better, I think I might get rid of this area and extend another raised bed here, because as you can tell, I'm just getting it very cluttered. Obviously I do need stuff in here, but I think that I might move it all to an outdoor box instead, so my tools, put them in there, and then potentially have a raised bed here and build another shelf similar to this, so it's kind of 2 use, and just start my seeds off on something like this. And then next to this storage space I've got another small raised bed, and I've got my aubergines in here, but they're not very happy. Last year I did my aubergines in here and they loved it, and I got a lot off there, but this year, I mean, these haven't ever really got off the ground. These are a little bit bigger, to be fair to them, but just no flowers, no fruit, which I'm quite surprised about. I'm not too sure. Maybe I should have rotated them and put them in another raised bed. I'm not too sure with that. And next to that I have just a random pot. This is not on a raised bed. And I just whacked a spare tomato plant that I had in here, and it's actually doing really well. As you can tell, I've got my first ripe tomatoes. I've not really been trimming it, this one. I've just been kind of letting it do its thing, and it seems to be working out for me, hopefully, touch wood. It seems like I'm going to have quite a lot of tomatoes on it. And then next to the tomatoes, I've got my biggest raised bed that I have in the Polytunnel. And this is a bit of a concoction of all sorts this year. I usually try to do it a little bit more systematic, but I kind of panicked. I was probably a bit late with my seedlings, and I just started to whack in anything in and just hoping for the best. So I've got a mix of aubergines. I did have some melons that didn't do very well, as you can tell. Oh, I've just been distracted by a little friend. It's always nice to see frogs in here actually, just to try and keep the slug content down. So yeah, quite nice to see him. But anyway, back to what I've got in here. So yeah, aubergines, melons. I have some pickling cucumbers which have done really well. I've just taken a big glute off these actually, and turned them into pickles, gherkins. So yeah, and then also I have marigolds. I put these in quite late just to help with the green fly that was taking over the aubergines. I also have a random melon plant that's starting to flower, but I don't think I'm going to get any fruit off that this time. And I also have another padron pepper, which I think is seeing, or it's showing signs of obviously leaf damage, and I think this is possibly from the green fly or the ants that I had. Originally I didn't think that the ant nest was causing much damage, but kind of on hindsight I think it possibly is now. But I do have padron pepper, which is exciting, and hopefully I'll have a lot more of those. So yeah, I can't remember, I've got different types of aubergines in here and they are flowering quite well, and I do seem to have some setting, as you can tell, but I'm not too sure if you can see there, but there is green fly on them. I've tried my hardest to keep this down, spraying them, washing them off. I've been using washing up liquid to try, and apparently they don't like that, but yeah. And next to my aubergines I have this huge big flower thing that I accidentally planted along with my cucumbers, and I felt too bad to pull it out. But it has these amazing pink flowers that droop over it. It just looks great, so I've kept that in. Why not? So that's the polytunnel. I really hope you've enjoyed looking around, and I hope to see you again soon.